Hello everyone, we are in the second week of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. He is accused of homicide and several other crimes for the shooting of 3 individuals that occurred last summer during protests and riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin. This week, we heard the testimony of one of the individuals who Kyle Rittenhouse shot, Gage Grosskreutz. We're going to look at this testimony. I know I'm a little bit behind. Everybody's been all over this. We're going to watch this testimony, see the key moment and the key words that Grosskreutz shared with the jury. I'm going to talk a little bit about the defense attorney, how he elicited this testimony, what impact this testimony will have on the case, and an analysis of the case overall going forward. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Joe Pometto, Joe the lawyer, a practicing criminal defense attorney in Pittsburgh, PA. This is what I do for a living. I also do personal injury. I also do family law. Whatever you need, you can come to me. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Now let's watch this fascinating testimony from the second week of trial for Kyle Rittenhouse.
Show you what has been marked as Exhibit 67. That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you'd agree your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized, yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Many in the media.
So notice how the witness there initially stated that he did not shoot when the gun was pointed, when he pointed his gun at Kyle Rittenhouse. He stated that Kyle Rittenhouse did not shoot when Mr. Grosskreutz had pointed his gun at him. Then the attorney asked him again and confronted him with the photograph. This is what trial attorneys, we would refer to as a form of impeachment. Sort of a bit of low-level impeachment, but it's high-level in its impact and effect because of how crucial the fact is. This individual, if he had not been confronted with that photograph, may have been able to squeak his testimony out in a different manner. He could have maintained that Rittenhouse didn't shoot him while the gun was actually pointed at Rittenhouse in order to make Rittenhouse appear to be as the aggressor. Now, I'm not arguing that this individual was coached. He probably was not. Most of the time, the prosecution may have a brief conversation with a witness about their testimony, but they're going to put the witness up there and let them tell their story. They're not going to coach them up. You'll see a lot more coaching in civil trials. Regardless, this guy, you know, you can think of a prosecution, they rolled him up and spun him out, okay? And this defense attorney did not let him squirm out of that when he was confronted with this irrefutable image. And the lawyer did a good job of saying, this is the moment that you were being shot, and he couldn't deny it because the image is right in front of him. It's right in front of the jury. Imagine if that image wasn't there. How much of a more difficult time the lawyer would have had. Imagine. This is the day and age that we are in. Trials are very different than they used to be, although many trials still proceed on testimony alone. I've done many trials with testimony alone. But you can see how powerful visual evidence can be, whether it's a photograph, whether it's a video, or even recorded sound evidence can hold a witness to the fire. Fantastic lawyer work here. Nothing fancy, sort of basic, but if he misses that point, it can change the course of the entire trial. So this gentleman, after a little bit of tug of war, agrees the firearm was pointed at Rittenhouse when Rittenhouse shot him. Okay, standing 3 to 5 feet away. He did not fire until Mr. Grosskreutz had advanced on him and pointed the weapon at him. He had a handgun in his hand. Now, there are lots of different ways that self-defense can be argued or self-defense can play out in real life. But if you read the case law and you look into prior cases, okay, 100% of the time, it's going to be self-defense. If you point your gun at someone who's already pointing a gun at you and you shoot first. So in regards, now here's the thing about this exact testimony here. This doesn't change the entire course of the case. And let me tell you why. Because number one, Mr. Grosskreutz is still alive. He's still alive. Mr. Rittenhouse could not be convicted of murder for shooting Mr. Grosskreutz. He could be convicted of other things, aggravated assault, recklessly endangering another person, but those shots fired when that man was shooting at him did not bring the murder charges. Grosskreutz is still alive. The homicide charges apply to the other two individuals who were shot and killed in this case, Huber and Rosenbaum. Now, because of this testimony, it's going to be very difficult for the prosecution to get a conviction on Rittenhouse for any of the charges related to him shooting Grosskreutz. Self-defense is going to apply there. Boom. Now, it may color the jury's opinion overall with the other actions. Wow, Mr. Rittenhouse was acting in a reasonable manner, but you still have to look at this as 3 different discrete interactions. Now, we already, and when I say that, I mean in regards to the 3 people who were shot, Huber, Rosenbaum, Grosskreutz. So if you're keeping score, they're not going to get a conviction on Grosskreutz. That's gone. But the prosecution could still pursue 2 convictions and possibly get them in regards to Rosenbaum and Huber, and those are the charges that are a much bigger problem for Rittenhouse. Now, we already heard substantial testimony, saw infrared video and additional video of what happened with Rittenhouse's engagement with Rosenbaum, and due to the FBI's infrared video, the testimony of a Mr. McGinnis, it appears that he has a very good claim of self-defense there too, because like the situation with Grosskreutz, the individual Rosenbaum had reached for his weapon. Now, the only more classic case of self-defense is when a weapon is pointed at you. But when someone reaches for your weapon, you were at risk of them getting the weapon and using it on you. A jury is generally going to find that as a valid case of self-defense. So, in my opinion, he's going to win acquittal in the shootings of Rosenbaum. He's going to win acquittal in the shooting of Grosskreutz. Now, you still have the shooting of Huber, all right? The individual who had the skateboard in the second major confrontation. I'm going to do a further video on that, but I wanted to tackle this key piece of testimony. A lot of the media is saying this alone acquits Rittenhouse. It does not. This is one discrete action. There were 3 discrete actions. Yes, it likely acquits him of being convicted on that basis and any of the charges related to Grosskreutz, but it does not automatically convict him or acquit him in relation to the other charges. So a lot of the media outlets that are jumping all over this It's premature. Now, I do still believe, because of the overall factual scenario here, he will be acquitted of the major homicide charges. I do think there's a chance he could get hit with recklessly endangering, but I do believe he will be acquitted of all of them. But I will talk about Huber tomorrow. I will get into the last person who well, he wasn't the last person. It was a second confrontation. The second person that Rittenhouse shot and killed. That's going to be the last analysis that I will do in order to support my argument that overall he will be acquitted of all the homicide charges. But if the media is jumping, whether conservative or left-leaning, a lot of right-leaning media is jumping on this saying, this acquits him, this acquits him. Well, yeah, it acquits him of the charge relating to this witness, but not to the other people who were shot, because those are discrete interactions that take place over a sequence of events. A lot of people don't realize you can be assaulted and then you strike back, but if you use too much force or your force goes on for too long, you can lose that self-defense argument. So more to come in the coming days. I also have some exciting new videos on DUIs that I'm going to drop soon. Thank you for tuning in to Joe Pometto, Joe the Lawyer. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I know I didn't do it, so I'll finish with it, everybody. Raise your cup, your glass in the air with me. Sip with me. It tastes better when we sip together. Cheers. I got a Raiders cup in the mail today. More from that in the future. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, Joe the Lawyer out.